It's cute, but it can be deadly. Today you're going to meet the Sago Palm or cycad, the tree that can kill your dog. And you'll also learn about a few other plants that, if you have pets or small children, you should avoid having at home. And I'm going to tell you a story about the time I ate one of these plants. Stick around until the end. I decided to make this video because of a very beautiful dog, a dark brown 9-year-old Labrador named Pudim. He was a strong dog, a blood donor, a swimmer, popular on Instagram, and gave emotional support to his owner, who is autistic. Until about 15 days ago, Pudim came into contact with this plant here. He was hospitalized, stayed 5 days in the ICU, and died of liver failure. His liver couldn't take it. I read the news and thought it was really strange because I've known this plant since I was a kid and had no idea it was toxic. Here in São Paulo, it's used a lot in clean lawns. Then this gets planted in the middle and looks like a kind of mix between a fern and a palm tree. It grows a lot, looks beautiful, and bears fruit that are kind of pumpkin colored. So yeah, if I didn't know it was toxic, I think a lot of people don't either. So let's make a video. So folks, this is the Caicus revoluta, also called just cycad or Sago Palm. It's a plant that after about 50 to 100 years can reach about 23 feet tall. It comes from the East, China and Japan. The male has a kind of cone in the center that looks like a pineapple, and it's widely used in landscaping. And it's called Sago Palm because, yes, you can make sago with it, but it has to be cooked thoroughly. Jansen, who's behind the camera, is asking me, "Hey, I've eaten sago, but what exactly are those little balls? What are they, right? Is it a seed? Is it made artificially?" Well, yes, those little balls are a kind of starch. In Brazil, we mostly use cassava to make it. It doesn't come straight from the plant in that ball shape, but in Asia, other plants are used. Anyway, you can make sago in many different ways. Normally we cook it and it turns into a soft, somewhat transparent ball that you can add a bit of grenadine to. When I was a kid, I always ate it with grenadine. It turned red, a kind of starch caviar with grenadine. Actually, Jansen reminded me that you can also make it with wine. Maybe I just thought it was grenadine. But actually, it was wine. Back to our little plant here. It's very pretty. You can make sago with it, and dogs like it. That's the problem. The entire plant, but especially the seeds, contains a toxin called capsaicin. Yeah, the cycad has a toxin called capsaicin. Easy to remember, right? If a dog eats it, it'll have vomiting, diarrhea, weakness, stomach pain, and can get yellow eyes. And worst of all, there's no antidote, you can't flush it out. If a dog eats it, you have to treat the symptoms. There's no way to reverse it. Just so you get an idea, we saw some data from the American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals. And the death rate for dogs that eat this is 50%. The chance of death is very high, so much so that in some cities like Rio de Janeiro and Uberaba, this plant was banned. And it makes total sense, right? After all, animals can't identify the plant, but we can, and that's why we're making this video. So, okay, you know the Sago Palm, you have to be careful with it. If you have a dog, you can't have this in the yard, but it's just one of many plants that can be toxic to animals. There are many others, and I'll give you some examples so you get the idea. There's a substance that forms a microscopic crystal in plants called calcium oxalate. Crystal sounds friendly, but really, it's like a microscopic thorn that if you or an animal eat it, will stick in your throat and internal organs. It's like you ate a porcupine that, besides being painful, can cause inflammation. That is, your body will start reacting to those little thorns. Your throat might swell. It's very dangerous. And the worst part is, I already ate one. Before I tell that story, since we're talking about biology, just a quick reminder, we're launching this semester the Great Biology Book from Manual of the World and the Mysteries of the Universe. 2 launches still to go. One in Macapá and the other in Belém. They'll happen on these dates. You're seeing them on the side. And we're leaving a link below so you can learn more about these books, alright? But let me tell you something really wrong that I did when I was about 7 years old. At my mom's house, there was a kind of humid area where a really beautiful plant grew called taioba. I think we had one at the Manual of the World a while back, but it died. Actually, there's a taioba right next to me. I didn't remember it. This one's still small. Its leaf can grow to about twice this size. It's a plant that looks really pretty when you have several together. You could eat taioba leaves like collard greens. I knew that. Actually, I don't think I had ever eaten taioba before. But in my mind, anything that looked like taioba was edible. This plant belongs to a family called Araceae. There's one more beautiful than the other, and my house is full of Araceae. Just to give you an idea. Elephant ears. Araceae. Syngonium Araceae. Imbe Araceae. Pothos Araceae. Philodendron martianum, Araceae, Malay sword, Monstera, Xanadu, purple philodendron, cordatum philodendron. Guess what? It's all Araceae. But during one vacation, my family went on a trip to a friend's farm in Pinhalzinho, in the countryside of São Paulo, and there they had beautiful plants spread all over the property. A little stream ran through it, and on the banks of the stream, in a very similar place to where we had taioba back home, there was a plant that looked exactly like a colorful taioba. I had never seen this plant before. But to me, it was just a taioba leaf with color, something pink in the middle. And of course, since I like trying things, I decided to cut off a piece of the leaf and eat it. It was one of the most distressing sensations I've ever felt in my life. It felt like I had opened a box of pins, tossed them in my mouth, and swallowed. I started to feel a bunch of thorns on the roof of my mouth, on my tongue, in my throat, all the way down to the pit of my stomach, more or less. That whole area being pierced by imaginary thorns, except they weren't that imaginary after all. I'll tell you more in a bit. The worst part is, like any kid who does something wrong, I was afraid to tell my parents what was happening. Because I wasn't supposed to eat a plant I didn't know well. I thought I was this plant expert, but I clearly wasn't. When I finally got the courage to tell my dad, he gave me milk to drink. To this day, I don't know if that was the right thing to do, but back then there was no phone at the farm, no way to access the internet to look up what to do in case of dumb cane poisoning. Yep, it's a relative of the taioba. Gorgeous, but deadly. It has those little crystals that are like thorns and get stuck in your throat. And what I was feeling was really a thorn stuck in my throat. It took about 4 hours for me to feel better. It hurt like crazy, made me want to cry. It was terrifying. I couldn't swallow anything, even water was painful. But slowly it went away. Maybe I was lucky to have only tried a little piece, because I was kind of crazy but not totally dumb. But there are plants that have much higher levels of calcium oxalate. Many of these Araceae are full of it. And it's kind of wild to think, why after all is a plant toxic? Why do plants have to harm us? Aren't they supposed to be food? Well, the thing is, when we eat, we kill the plants, so they need some sort of defense. If you try to eat a dog, it'll bite you. A plant, on the other hand, might prick you or have such a horrible taste that you'll never want to eat it again. That's the case with most toxic plants. Now let's look at a few that are harmful to animals and that you might have at home. We found a list made by students at USP of the plants that most often cause issues for pets, for domestic animals. And the most common one, especially for dogs, is the so-called Dieffenbachia. From that name alone, you can already guess it's not a plant to be messed with. And no, it's not even really a flower. It has very pretty leaves, but it causes gastrointestinal problems. It's especially dangerous for small dogs that go around the garden exploring and eating every plant they find. And yes, if you're an observant person, you notice that exactly to my left we have here at home a pot with a Dieffenbachia. I knew this plant was dangerous for people. Helena and Melissa know not to eat any part of it, but I had no idea it was dangerous for animals. Now, unfortunately, our guinea pigs were eaten by an opossum that had been roaming around the house, so we don't have any more pets at home. Worms. I don't know if they count. This here is the worm compost bin you saw us make in 2020, back during the pandemic. It's thriving, full of worms, but I don't have any more mammals. I forgot to mention, but Dieffenbachia is also Araceae. For cats, a plant that can be very dangerous is the lily. If they eat it, they can suffer acute kidney failure. That means their kidneys can't process all the toxins and the animal could die. Just to give you an idea, even the water in the vase can be toxic to these animals. So, let's go! I'm not going to talk about plant after plant here endlessly because there are too many. But here's a little list of several of them. Let's do this. If I don't have it at home, I'll show a photo. If I do have it, I'll show the one I own. And the worst part is I have a lot. Anthurium. I have it here on the wall at home. Don't even need to say which family it's from, right? Maidenhair fern. It used to be in the exact same spot as the Anthurium, but the guinea pigs ate it. I don't think it harms guinea pigs. Azalea. This one isn't blooming, so it's not easy to recognize. But we have one here at Manual. I found another one with flowers I didn't even remember existed. So many plants. Poinsettia. We have a huge tree at the back of the house. It's hard to see because it's so tall. Calla lily. The first one I don't have. It's this one here. Crown of thorns, not so common nowadays, but when I was a kid there were lots. Snake plant. It was behind the camera we were using. In fact, in this pot here, there's that variety called Spear of St. George. Oleander. We have it at Manual, but it has no leaves right now and it's up high. Anyway, its flower is this one. It's very easy to recognize and quite fragrant too. Wild tobacco, I had never heard of this one. Marijuana? No, I don't have that at home. Castor bean? I don't have it now, but when I was a kid, I loved having slingshot battles with it. Green tomato. We had one here at home when we planted tomatoes for the girls to see. Don't have it now. An African violet. I used to have one, but I only found the pot, so I think it died. But anyway, it's that flower there, which is quite common. We didn't make a video about plants that are dangerous for children because accidents aren't that common. First, because we're more careful with kids than we are with pets. We don't let kids go around putting every plant in their mouth. A puppy is a little harder to control. Second, we kind of know which plants are bad for us. So Dieffenbachia, for example, but many people already know. Even the name says so. And third, it's not common to have really serious accidents with plants. Usually you put it in your mouth and it already tastes terrible. That's what happened to me when I ate the dumb cane. But if you think it's worth making a video just about plants that are toxic to humans, I'll make one too. No problem at all. Just let me know in the comments. I made this video from the heart so fewer accidents like what happened to Pudim happen out there. So if you know someone who has this plant at home or who has a dog and might have a dangerous plant around, don't forget to share. Deal? I really like plants and we hardly ever talk about them here on Manual of the World, but there was one very special video. It was the time we managed to buy Brazil wood sawdust and dye fabrics so they would look the same color as the ones used in Portugal 500 years ago when Brazil wood was exploited here in our country. It's a very special video. I'm leaving it linked in the card.